Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on Joy Asonye Live this evening. It's always wonderful to be here, especially as so much is unfolding. On Monday, the President Bola Tinubu appointed new service chiefs in the country and named a former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nuhu Ribadu, as new National Security Advisor. The appointed service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police and the Comptroller General of Customs, are to act in their positions pending their confirmation in accordance with the Constitution of Nigeria. Now, these are calls that civil society organizations have for a very long time been pushing the past administration to do, rejigging the security architecture of the nation. However, we are seeing Bola Ahmed Tinubu doing that almost immediately after assuming office. What does that portend for the security architecture of our nation? That's what we'll be discussing. And as you know, we have our regular here in the studio, Steve Okori, Security and Crime Management Consultant, to do all of that. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes we get heated.
What do we do?
What do we do? That's the country we live in. It's not my fault. I hope you know that.
The fact that your notice come too swift, but I have to.
That's what happens when we wake up to appointments like such as this.
Exactly.
So you must forgive me. We'll go for a short break right now to return to discuss more. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back from that short break. Now, Nigerians have been clamoring for a change, a rejig in the security architecture of the nation. However, we are seeing this new appointees. First of all, how did that news come to you? Were you excited or suspicious?
Yeah, I would say I was excited because it came as a breaking news. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his style of employing and retiring people that were there before he came on board. I don't know if this is style. He always does it late hours.
Oh yes, yes.
Did you notice that?
We get this information late at night.
Late in the night, you know. The way the Emefiele was suspended, even Bawa, the EFCC chairman too, all happened in the night.
However, I like to think they have letters or something that gives them, or do they wake up and listen to the news and they realize they've been fired?
I think some of them are sudden. For instance, that of Emefiele and Bawa. You know, Bawa was at the villa that very day to see the president. Shortly after he left, later in the night, the news came up. But for the service chiefs, they already knew that they were going to go. Of
course.
Or they do. They were due for retirement even since last year.
Last year.
So they knew they were going to go. President Buhari, the immediate past, only kept them so that they will exit with him.
Right.
Yeah. So
and President Tinubu is ensuring that they do exit with the last administration, especially because, you know, for what we had experienced in the past 8 years, we've not seen enough rejigging or enough shuffling in that department,
yes,
so to speak.
I agree
And
with you.
if you go by the way the last president behaved, these ones would have stayed until the 6 months when President Buhari changed his cabinet.
Exactly. I want to commend the president, Tinubu, for the actions he has taken so far. If you look at his manifesto, security is one of the top priorities in his manifesto. I've gone through his manifesto, and there are a lot of things contained in his manifesto that he wants to do as president of Nigeria. So I think one of the first things is what he has done. You know, let him have a team of service chiefs, a new national security advisor, and a new IG and all that, so that wherever they are going wrong, at least he is the one that has put the team together. If they are going wrong, they will know where the mistakes are and try to see how to close the gap. I've taken my time to go through the CVs of the newly appointed service chiefs.
Oh, wow. Right.
Top notch.
I noticed.
Yeah. The Rear Admiral, the Chief of Naval Staff, he was even the best during his course, 39 regular course. He was the best amongst his course mates. And even the Chief of Army Staff, all of them, very brilliant professionals, even the acting IGP, the National Security Advisor also, they all have very rich CVs. For the National Security Advisor, let us have something new. It has been the military that have been heading the office of the National Security Advisor. Now it's a police officer, a retired one at that,
exactly.
An intelligent police officer. Let us see what happens, But I expect the best from this crop of professionals that the president has appointed.
I mean, the president had always said he was after national competence and not necessarily national unity. However, we saw a spread that went around national unity, as some people may say, because we saw a little of everybody in there.
Yes, a little of everybody. In terms of ethnic balancing, he has tried on that, picking somebody from the southeast that we've never seen in the last 8 years.
Exactly.
Then also the Chief of Army Staff, in the last 42 years, the Southwest have never had that position. The last time a Chief of Army Staff was from the Southwest was 42 years ago.
Yeah.
So he has brought one from the Southwest, The only complaint that I hear people say is the geopolitical division, He still went back to carry two officers from the Northwest,
exactly.
Kaduna and Kano. So, some Nigerians are saying that the National Assembly, the presiding officers that they just elected, the Speaker from Kaduna, the Deputy Senate President from Kano.
Exactly.
So, the North Central geopolitical zones are asking questions. Why are they being left out? But I don't want to see that as any worry, because we're looking at delivery here, They have gone through their CV and their CVs have spoken for them.
They have.
So it is not about where they come from. We want to see results. A lot of issues are happening in this country in the area of insecurity. People are dying. People are being kidnapped. Nigerians are paying heavily for ransom.
We will get to that and how this new crop of people would do justice to the security challenges we face. However, do we see a president who would, just as he has hired, very easily fire, just if we are not seeing the results that in his own manifesto he had promised we will see?
Yes, I see that coming, because he has said that he asked for the job.
And that we should not pity him.
We should not pity him.
Pity on him.
So, since he has asked for the job, Nigerians are expecting to see result. In the event where people that he has hired to be able to give him result, they are not delivering, I expect that he should be able to fire them. He appointed them, so he should be able to fire them. We shouldn't see a tenure-based appointment, where somebody will come and serve 4 years when the person is not delivering, So I expect that he will look into that, and if anybody is not performing.
In retrospect, in spite of all the cries by Nigerians, we didn't see that. We had several calls, change these service chiefs. Let's have new people with innovative ideas and all of that. We didn't see that. What do you think the president at the time, President Buhari, considered to keep them for that long?
You see, it was to his best knowledge.
There's no security response to that?
Well, you see, the issue that we have is that we expect that an independent team, if you ask me, should be able to give the president some briefs. When you hire, for instance, when Buhari was there, the service chiefs were the only people that were coming to give him briefs. And they were telling him what they wanted him to hear. So for him, I want to agree that or believe that he saw that they were performing, because they come give him briefs. This is what we are doing. This is what we have done. This is how far we are going and all that. So there was no other counter briefing, whether positive or negative, that was coming from any quarter, So that was, for me, that was why he kept them for that.
But Okori, I'm not a security consultant.
Yes.
However, I read the papers and saw gory activities going on.
Yes.
It was quite concerning.
Yes.
I didn't need to be briefed. All I had to do was put on my TV set or read a newspaper.
It will shock you if I tell you some revelations here that I got to know. That the newspapers that we read on our streets in Nigeria here, is not the kind of newspaper that the president reads.
Wow.
I'm telling you. And do you know that even in the villa, there are television stations that they tune for him to watch? For instance, if there was any sad incident of insecurity somewhere in Sokoto or Kano and all that, and it was aired on channels, for instance, when it's 10 o'clock, they won't tune to channels for him to watch.
Wow.
I'm telling you, these are the stories I heard.
So people invested that much time,
yes,
to ensure that
to keep their job.
To keep their job.
Yes.
How is that keeping your job?
In the event where they are not performing, it should amount to for them.
No, instead of investing this much time in shielding the ripple effect of your non-performance,
yes,
why don't you put it into performance?
Are they interested? If the insecurity issues in Nigeria, if you end up and if they finish and they don't exist anymore, there won't be jobs for them.
That is a sad reality.
I have told you.
If that is true, but that must be sad. However, do you see this president as one who would not? I mean, his wife is very versatile. He has. I was listening to somebody say there's already a cabal forming. You know, while that's still speculation.
No.
It's expected though.
I don't want to believe that there will be a cabal.
He's the Jagaban.
Yes, this is the first time we're having a president that doesn't have a leader.
Who was Obasanjo's leader?
Who was Obasanjo's? Did you forget that Obasanjo came from prison?
Right.
People made him.
People who ensured that.
Yes, people made him. You know, but you cannot compare Obasanjo's emergence as president to that of Tinubu. Tinubu fought his way to get there. You know, when he was campaigning, he was challenging the federal government and all that. He
was one candidate, even though he was of the APC, that challenged the leadership of the APC.
He is one president that doesn't have a leader. So who wants to come and begin to say, control him or whatever? So anybody that is mentioning a cabal or something, I don't think the cabal will be the kind of cabal that will want to come and cage President Tinubu. Because he is prepared for the job, if you ask me. And this is the first time that we are having somebody from the political system, you know.
Not the military.
Not the military, not from the academics, the way Goodluck Jonathan came and became president and all that. This is a man that, you know, grew through the ranks, right. You know, and first time we're having a senator, former senator as president, a vice president, former senator, former governor. They've been in the executive.
Wife of the president,
former senator. The secretary to the government of the federation, former senator, former governor. The senate president, former governor, former minister. So now, they have been through all the arms of government except for the judiciary. They don't have any reason to fail Nigerians this time. Because from the executive, they have seen how it works. From the legislature, they have seen how it works. So we're not ready for excuses.
So what do you think is the set agenda for any serious-minded service chief looking at Nigeria as it is, the challenges that we still face security-wise? Yeah.
Now they have the service chiefs. They've been in the system. Like for instance, the chief of Army Staff.
Yes.
You know, he was GOC, 82 div, one mechanized div in Kaduna, and all that. He has been to all that. Operation Harinkai in the northeast region, all of them. So they have this experience. So it's now left for them to see how to harmonize the template or the manifesto of the president. You know, from there they can draw their policy and plans and programs, you know, to see how it will fit into what the president has in his manifesto.
Okay.
Yes, the challenges are enormous.
They are
not new in the system. So they know the challenges Nigerians are facing. So they should begin to work towards that. And there's a lot. What the president has done is just one of the first steps. There are a lot that the president needs to do. And especially there should be some security sector reforms. There's a lot that needs to be done there.
We'll get into what your concept of security sector reforms are.
Right.
But what would you say fought back most, caused the fight back most in fighting insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and insecurity challenges? I remember the many speculations that the security challenges Nigeria is facing is from the powers that be, in fact. I don't know if you heard that speculation.
Yeah, why not?
I heard it,
Yeah.
and it was quite rife that they could not succeed the way they did if powerful people,
Yes.
influential Nigerians,
Yeah.
were not feeling it.
You see, when we mistake the actions we need to take, in terms of in trying to handle these issues, and you begin to bring politics into play, we will begin to have issues from there. You will never get it right. The laws are there. Why won't we now apply the laws for people that are making these things not to work? Recommendations are there. Nigerians have made recommendations. Committees upon committees have made 1 or 2, 3, 4 recommendations. Where are the recommendations? How did they apply them? You see, we have a lot to do. It's not about the policies are there. We have very wonderful policies to see that Nigerians work. We cannot keep doing the same thing and we expect a different result. There's a lot that we need to do. And I have confidence in the government of President Tinubu. Let us see what he has to do, what he has to offer. The National Security Advisor that he has brought. You see, the issues on ground, they are internal, So we need somebody that has worked with the civil populace, The military, yes, they are good, but, they are regimental. They don't interact with the civilians as much as you expect with the way the police does, So let us see what Nuhu Ribadu has, And I have absolute confidence in this crop of teams, especially in the security sector that he has appointed.
Now, you intentionally refuse to address what I said by powerful Nigerians may have a hand to why we are seeing the failed security challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Let me respond to that. They should be exposed. Why are we covering them? There was this time a chopper went to deliver arms somewhere in the forest.
Yes.
And the news was that a powerful Nigerian owned the chopper.
Exactly.
So if
you
are hiring a chopper, you should have details of whoever organization or individual or personalities that you're hiring your chopper to, what they are into, what they want to do with it. But as a journalist, how far did you go with that?
Personally, I refuse to go that far because of the love I have for my life. But thank you for nudging me that way. You are very kind. I know you like me very much. If the Nigerian, the entire architecture could not reveal to us who owns the chopper, where they were coming from with the arms, what their intentions are, you are pointing at me, a journalist, whose strongest power is the pen and maybe my mouth. That's all I've got.
Yeah,
and I know that news went live and we're trying to amplify the news so that it kept being in the public space. But there was only so much we could do.
See, we are not a serious nation. I just expect that, I want to believe that President Tinubu will turn things around. Recall that there was this time that from Dubai, there was this list of about between 10 or 15 persons from Kano and some part of Nigeria, the northern part, that were financing terrorism.
Or so they were alleged to be.
The list was sent to Nigeria. How far with that? How far did it go? So we need to rise to the occasion and deal with these issues decisively.
Right. And that brings us to the corruption and political will that often exacerbates these things.
Exactly.
Now, the fight for a corrupt-free Nigeria is not for children.
It's not for children, and I don't see that coming to
a complete end. Of course, of course, you don't see it coming. I don't see it coming to a complete end, but it has also affected lives and properties of Nigerians.
Absolutely.
So, how would you say that these service chiefs can ensure there is that? Even if it's a body language, really, usually Nigeria body language is used to go a very long way. Even if it's the body language that they are indeed fighting corruption and exposing, like you have mentioned, several allegations like this.
Yeah, the military, I want to give it to them in the area of trying to see how to fight corruption. We saw during the last administration when a general was arrested with when he sent some of his boys with over 300 million cash.
Yes, and they were caught.
They were caught. You know what happened to the general? He was demoted, at the end of the day dismissed. So all this, I think there's need for us to see how to, especially the agencies that are saddled the responsibility of fighting corrupt Nigerians, be it in the military or wherever. There's a lot that needs to do, and it's so certain that chairman of such an organization that fights corruption was suspended on an allegation of
corruption,
being corrupt. So
I don't know if you saw that press conference.
I saw the press conference
where somebody brazenly alleged that he went with millions for Hajj and was hosting entire family.
A room where he was staying in a hotel, $15,000 per night. At the end of the day, when he stayed for 10 days, returned back to Nigeria, they ended up spending about $300,000.
$300,000, yes. Was
that his personal money, or it was a gesture?
$300,000.
From who?
For a religious event.
Even if it was a gesture, from who? Are you telling me that the person that gave that gesture does not have something to hide and was trying to see how to go around? See, when it comes to integrity issues, I think it's a problem for us here. Nigerians fail integrity test.
I don't. Go ahead, I apologize.
When I mean that Nigerians, the ones that are given one office or the other, they fail. They fail. Look at the Accountant General. Imagine how much, over 100 billion. So once they are given one office or the other, they failed integrity test.
Steve, I mean, we've discussed this over and over. When the institutions are strong enough, there will not be loopholes. It's like keeping money out there and expecting people not to pilfer. So how can we get...
The institutions are strong.
They are?
Yes.
If
it's
they are...
the operators of the institution that are making it look weak. If you ask me, the institutions are strong.
So somebody was asking me, and call it naive and peripheral, but however, who is going to investigate the EFCC chairman? I
should suggest who will do that.
Please suggest.
Yes.
The EFCC will investigate their boss?
No. They can't do that. We have civil society organizations. You mustn't be... The facts are there. However, let an independent body. You cannot...
Another independent body. Don't we have enough? They have the Bureau of Conduct. We have the ICPC. We have the DSS.
They can do their own and also present their report.
Right.
But we can have another independent that is not related to any government agency at all.
That's the Steve Okori's consulting firm, for instance.
We can handle that. It's not beyond us.
Of course.
Yes. The jailbreak that happened in Kuje, the Ministry of Interior had their own team of
investigators.
Yes. The agency itself, the Correctional Service. And you expect that the report coming from the Ministry of Interior
will not tally?
You won't get results from there. Supposing it was an independent body that was set up to say, okay, go and investigate, because a lot of things happened during the jailbreak.
But is it a global standard for independent bodies to investigate crime like that, especially in this national of this level? We have
able, as in qualified Nigerians that are professionals in these fields that we are talking about.
I'm saying that is it a standard?
It's
a standard, especially because Nigeria seems to have so many branches of security architecture.
Yes.
So is it a standard?
It's the prerogative of any government.
Okay, so by our peculiarity, maybe it should be considered.
Yes, it should be considered because I don't think that you can get result when an agency is saddled with that responsibility to go and investigate their boss that is on suspension.
Now,
of course, there will be bias.
Of course, there will be bias. Yes. But after paying the EFCC, the personnel staff, member of staff or personnel, so much money, you pay the many branches of security or corrupt anti-graft agencies.
Yes.
Can Nigeria afford to pay Stevie Okori's consulting firm, for instance? Because often when you come with your what's it called now? Proposals?
Yes.
The amount it's staggering.
You can't say that. You haven't seen the proposal.
I'm just being naughty. It's time to go for a break right now. We're still discussing the new service chiefs that the president appointed and Nigeria's security outlook. We'll be back to discuss more. Remember, we have Steve Okori, security and crime management consultant, with us here. And when we return, we'll be talking about the security reforms that he expects this president to start with. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. Now on Service Chiefs and Nigeria's security outlook, and we've been discussing this with Steve Okore, security and crime management consultant and the MD of Stick Mira Consulting. Now, I would like, before we get into the security reforms you would like to quickly see, what are we doing about our borders? That's one thing that concerns Nigerians, especially because how porous our borders are. I listened to a report about more than 1,000 footpaths into and out of Nigeria.
Exactly.
So what do you think should be done so that we curtail who comes in and who goes out?
Pertaining the borders, our porous borders, the president is aware. Just the way I said, I took my time to look at his manifesto. Yes, manifesto is a draft. You know, what we expect now is the implementation of what is contained in the manifesto. And it took its time to talk about the borders. Some solutions on how to man our borders.
Something about employing. I know he
Yes.
said he employed a border guard.
Border guards, very well. He talked about establishing border guards.
Yes.
You know, and even the forest guards.
Forest guards as well.
Yeah.
That's something we've not seen in a very long time.
Then he even talked about anti-battalion troops that will fight
Exactly.
terror. You know, so there's a lot that is contained in that his manifesto. I want to see it play out. Just the way I said in one of my remarks, that the service chiefs now will now have to, you know, put their programs together to align with the policy and programs of the president. You know, so that we should see them working as a team. You know,
Steve, I mean, we often do not go back to the campaign promises or blueprint or action plan. Don't you think it's bogus? I remember people who were analyzing that action plan at the time were saying battalion, the forest guard,
yes.
And when we already have men on ground, foot on ground. So do you think it's something he will still consider? It's one thing to be campaigning, I would do this. It's another thing to sit in that office.
Yes. Some couple of days ago, he signed the student loan bill or something. It was contained in his manifesto about the student loan bill, that he was going to put up a law that students can access loan. He has signed that. So it goes to show that the president is somebody that keeps to his words. So I want to believe that whatever content that he has in his manifesto, going forward or looking at what he has done already, I'm convinced that he will implement all that.
Well, you are convinced that he would implement,
Yes.
but is it implementable? Is it one of those security plans that you would also suggest can work?
Yes. For instance, the forest guard that he mentioned in his manifesto. You know, a lot of Nigerians are kidnapped and kept in the forest, in our forest. I know the forest forms part of our ungoverned spaces.
Okay.
So, if forest guards are hired or employed or recruited, it means that victims of kidnap or banditry and all that are kept in the forest, they will go a long way to see how to curb that. But I want to add that in doing that, they should try and see that they work in synergy with local vigilantes. Because vigilantes, these forests form part of their own community.
Exactly.
And they are so used to their terrain. So one of the, I want to suggest that the president should also look at the bill establishing a local vigilante.
Okay.
Because it has passed first reading, second reading at the National Assembly.
Exactly.
You know. So you should look at that.
And when we talked about that, they already have factions now. It's unfortunate, but it is.
Yes.
They already have factions.
You expect that
now
to happen because they are already trying to see that there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So you expect faction, but there's nothing wrong with harmonizing. Once government takes control or charge of such organization, they must have to see how to harmonize and put them together. You know, and they work under the supervision of the Nigerian police.
Under the supervision of the Nigerian police.
Yes.
I mean, more men on boots with different names. Don't we have enough?
It doesn't matter. We are looking for solutions to our challenges.
Don't we have technological innovations that could bring the solutions? Because it seems very archaic to deploy people to roam the forest.
Yes. You see, Nigeria is very different to see how to begin to look at it the way we see the Western nations.
Maybe I've seen too many Hollywood movies.
Exactly. I want to agree with you on that.
Hypothetically speaking.
There's a lot that technology does.
Right.
So in part of my suggestions that what I expect that the government should do or will do is the area of technology, because there's a lot technology does now.
Of course.
Yeah.
So why are we not looking into that instead of getting men roam forests?
Yes.
Because that's what the picture that comes to my head each time I think about it.
Yes. But we have to, these are all solutions that we have to put together. Area of technology will have to come on board. Boots on the ground. We need also boots on the ground. Where the military, the soldiers are taking charge of the ground operations, the Air Force are taking charge of the air operations as well. So technology, yes, but also need boots on the ground. Well, Nigerians are over 200 million. Okay. By the time you put all this, the military and other services together, we're not even up to 1% of Nigerian population.
Now, in your suggestion, would you say he increases the police boots on the ground?
It's very important.
With about 40,000 we have. How many?
We have less 400,000.
400,000, yes.
Less 400.
Less 400,000.
But don't forget that this less 400,000 that we have, you have VIPs, politicians, and all that.
And if you ask me,
very wealthy individuals.
I think 200,000 are securing.
Excellent. So we have a balance of a less 200,000.
Exactly.
To police how many million Nigerians? So it is important that there must be recruitment. The outgone government recruited just about 20,000 in 8 years. How much is that? So there's a lot that this government needs to do. Countries like China, India, the US, they have well over 2 million.
Wow.
Yes. Just for the internal
security
alone. You know, and here we're battling with less 400,000 for police. The army with less 200,000. So the government needs to do a lot in terms of recruitment.
Now let's talk about that reforms you had spoken casually about. If you want to see, I don't know if we have enough time to go into all you want to see in the reform, but we'll take it one at a time.
Right.
Now you talked about the reforms, and Nigerians will agree with you. It is long overdue to have reforms in the security architecture of Nigeria that will see that that less security outbreaks and make Nigeria a little less vulnerable and volatile rather for attacks. Let's start with what you believe the first thing to reform is.
Number one, I want to talk about training and retraining. That is key. Because I've taken my time to look at the Nigerian police during the course of my study. And the police, they are not.
The last time they probably attended a training program.
No.
I'm not, but it seems like a certain cadre often enjoys these training programs.
A certain cadre enjoys the training.
Right.
But the men that they deploy, in terms of carrying out perhaps rescue operations or trying to see how to curtail
those ones could very well be vigilantes
civil disturbance.
Right.
They are not trained.
Or rather retrained, because I know they have the first training when they're
at police college. After that, no more training. But I think we have gone beyond that. Since the history of police, it is at night it is open boot and check boot and they let you go. We should go beyond that.
Okay, and that would increase the capacity and efficiency of their work?
Yes.
Okay, training and retraining, right.
Training is, you can't exhaust it. You know, you keep training because there are challenges that keep coming and all that, and you try to see how to train them, improve so that they can improve their efficiency in carrying out all. Now, I expect that the service chiefs now and the new IG will have our history of issues bordering on insecurity. We'll have our experience and we'll have the reality of what is staring us at the face at the moment. So these are the things they need to work with. Try to see how to establish the gap and close the gap. By closing the gap, they are improving on their delivery, and Nigerians will begin to see results.
Okay.
In the area of logistics, it's also something that the president needs to look at.
Logistics?
Yes. We have seen where soldiers complain, the police complain, they've gone, what do you call it now? There was a time there was even rumor that they were going on strike.
Yes, I remember. That was sometime 2 years ago, or last year, I think.
There was a time the police, the Mopos that were on special duties in Maiduguri, they protested on the street of Maiduguri.
Yes.
Their DTAs were not paid. People in the front line protecting other Nigerians, their lives are at risk.
In a volatile place such as Borno State.
Yes, and you toil with their DTAs. I think their DTAs should be able to be paid upfront.
Exactly.
You know,
something to give them that motivation.
To boost their morale. But I don't need to go to the police or the military to begin to tell them that this is what they ought to do. The budget is captured in their budget. So let us see that what is meant for their operations, they are judiciously used for the purpose, you know. And there should be some transparency and accountability in all of this, you know. So if there are no, if these key elements are missing, we cannot get it right. And also, the rivalry is something that the president needs to look at.
Like between agencies,
yes, between
security
security agencies. And I want to commend him, President Tinubu, when the DSS had issues with the EFCC in their Lagos office.
Right.
The news got to him, and he gave a presidential order that the DSS should vacate the premises for the EFCC, you know. So, a lot of Nigerians, you know, what President Tinubu is doing now is taking a lot of Nigerians unaware. They weren't expecting that they would see
a vibrant and assertive president such as he is showing.
Don't forget that he said it during his campaign that what he is vying for is not a 100-meter race. It's not the wrestling.
He's not going to run. Even though after he said that, he still showed us in a treadmill rather, just to show that even though I am not going to run, I am fit enough. I am fit enough.
That what he is vying for, the job is here. And I am seeing result. Nigerians are seeing result.
Well, although Nigerians are seeing result, I want us to talk about that inter-agency synergy that would enhance intelligence gathering and sharing.
Exactly. You see, every security agency has its constitutional mandate, either by the act that established them or the constitution. Their mandates are clear. But at some point, you begin to see that there's no synergy. And I want to believe that their goal, their objective is one, is to see that Nigerians are secured and protected. Lives are also protected and properties. So why should there be rivalry? This rivalry is not even at the top. It's at the lower class.
Yes.
But I expect that...
It's so embarrassing sometimes.
No, yeah. And I expect that the heads of the top should be able to let the ones at the lower class know that...
it is very embarrassing.
Very, very.
When I saw...
Recall what happened in Taraba during the last election.
Where the military men, is that the case?
The soldiers killed two
policemen.
Meanwhile, the job of election operations,
cuts across
it's
everyone.
for the police,
right?
Strictly for the police. The military or the army is just to see how to give them some support. But in Taraba, the soldiers, I think for ego, for ego, wanted to dominate the police, and the police said, "No, this is our responsibility, this is our duty." And all we could get after what had happened, they killed two policemen.
Two policemen.
Is it not saddening?
Very sad. And you know, the civilians are watching to say these are people we are supposed to run to, and they video these things.
They were deployed to go and protect lives, and they ended up killing two police officers. It's a sad thing.
It is indeed very
So the
sad.
rivalry thing is what the president really needs to take his time.
And I think I just want to agree to what you said. The retraining, it's necessary, especially in that cadre of people, officers or personnel who mingle with society and have to interface with each other.
Exactly.
Because I saw a video on a lighter note now, where a military man, I'm not sure what happened, and he was seen beating up a policeman. And Nigerians were watching in awe.
In Lagos,
appalled, yes.
Appalled. I saw it.
To say, what is going on? These are people we look up to protect our lives and properties.
It's sad.
It is.
So the president is aware of all this. He knows all this. He takes his time to... I was surprised when I watched him on TV. He went to visit Port Harcourt. Then he was still president-elect. But during his speech, he was telling Governor Wike, then Governor of Rivers, what he saw on his way. He saw his posters and all that, banners hanging, that he's so impressed that the Rivers people... Some other president won't even see because they are being blocked by
the casket. What's it called now?
The convoy.
The convoy.
His convoy, you know, of course you expect him to be in the middle, then some other cars by his side. But he still took his time too. So President Tinubu is a president or a man that
so far has shown
pays
his
attention
hands
to
on
details, you know, things that are happening around him. Since he became president, he has been receiving one visitor or the other, both international and local, to the point that even the likes of Asari Dokubo went to visit him. So
I even thought you wanted to mention Bill Gates, but okay.
Bill Gates falls under the international guests that went to see him. But I had to mention, for a man that is president, just 3 weeks old, we even have time to
see the likes of Asari Dokubo.
You know, so his ears.
But is that meeting a good thing? Is he going to show some sort of synergy so that we do not see the kind of militancy we saw some time ago in the Niger Delta region?
Yes, it's a welcome development if you ask me, because Asari Dokubo made some revelations when he went to see him.
Yes,
you know, and you think that those revelations, the president will take them for granted or lightly? In the next meeting with the service chiefs, he will mention that because
he made some revelations that even indicted.
Exactly.
And so some people have even pointed to the fact that they were quickly removed and replaced, maybe because of some of the revelations that were made.
No. I don't want to think like that. I don't want to believe that.
Right.
The man made up his mind that he wanted to take them off. You know, it's time that he takes them off. Because why is he buying time? He shouldn't be buying time. You know, don't forget that loyalty also has a role to play. You know, the immediate past service chiefs, somebody has appointed them. He's now president, commander-in-chief. Let him have people that will be
okay, if you go by that, what happened to Buhari? Another person, in fact, somebody from another political party appointed the service chief that he worked with for the first 6 months.
It was his choice. But even during the Buhari's administration, the service chiefs that he worked with, like for instance, the IGP then, Solomon Arasi, a very brilliant, intelligent Nigerian police officer, you know, excellent man. He was doing his job professionally, even the period that he worked with Buhari. So we have crops of professionals that know this job. Let us see how we move on from here.
Okay. Well, we have addressed...
Don't forget that the same Arasi that performed under Buhari for that 6 months or so is now the Police Service Commission Chairman.
Yes.
He has also talked about training. I watched him when he talked about training, that the police needs to be reformed. The police needs to be strengthened. There's a lot that we need to do in this country to have solutions to these our challenges.
Okay, let's now go to how reactive our security agencies are often. And we've always talked about, instead of being so reactive, how come we can let's prevent recurrence. It's very saddening when you open papers. I'm not saying there's such a city or a country that is crime-free completely.
No.
Exactly. However, when you see so much happening in our, I mean, the kind of stories we hear in southern Kaduna, for instance, the kind of stories we hear in Benue State, in Plateau, Taraba, and all of that, and the number of casualties, it is really saddening. So how can we get there if you have to convene a meeting with the service chiefs? I mean, as MD Stick Miracle, of course.
Yeah. I like this kind of opportunity where somebody can just profile 1 or 2, 3 solutions. Because in a forum I find myself like this, I try to see that I mention 1 or 2 solutions, because solutions is something that we should be looking out for now.
Exactly.
It's so sad that you tune to your television and you see human beings killed, heaps of dead bodies on the ground, and their loved ones crying, mourning, and all that, for just no cause at all. How do you now solve these issues? For Kaduna, for instance, and even Plateau, when you begin to trace, you recall that I talked about our history, our experience. The challenges in Kaduna and Plateau, there's a history. Some people have said it's ethnic, some people have said it's religious, some people have said it's political. These are things that the government, in conjunction with the security chiefs, in conjunction with the traditional rulers, in conjunction with clergy, community leaders, they have to sit down and begin to look at the issues. Which is political, they begin to look at how to go about it. If it's ethnic, they begin to see how to go about it. If it's religious, they begin to see how to go about it. If it's alleged herdsmen that usually comes and kill, at the end of the day, we don't see one of them that is killed for us to identify that it is alleged herdsmen or herdsmen that came to kill them. That's one way to go about it. And don't forget that I talked about the vigilante.
Yes.
These communities are remote. Whatever happens there, it takes a long time for the law enforcement agents to get there. And that's why they are being reactive. Supposing they had local vigilantes that are armed, you cannot say that local vigilantes should just do the job of intelligence gathering alone. If they gather the intelligence and send to the police, do you know the road that leads to such community? Is it motorable? How long will it take the police to get there, or the military? So these are the issues. I am in support of local vigilante. They should be armed. We can have local vigilante in all our rural communities.
Right.
It's not possible to have the conventional security agencies in our communities.
We seem to already have them, just not...
They're not armed. The police are saying they should not arm them. The government is saying that they should not be armed. That's why these criminal elements come, perpetrate these acts, and it goes scot-free. So just imagine that. You have local vigilantes that are armed. Then some people begin to argue that they have bad eggs in the vigilante. Yes, in every system there are bad eggs. Even in the military, there are also bad eggs. In the police, there are also bad eggs. Should we begin to disband the police or the military because they had bad eggs?
Of course not.
Of course not. How do we now trash issues of bad eggs in the local vigilante structure? Recruiting them.
Exactly.
They have chiefs in various communities. They know the ones that have questionable character. In the event,
let them shorty them. I mean,
exactly.
I don't think there's a traditional head that wants to shorty or guarantee somebody with questionable character.
So if they are recruited in that manner or in that regard, you can then trust them with arms, you know, for the purpose of protecting your community. And also, when was the last time the police, in terms of what do you call it now, foot patrol? I recall back in the days that the police will come to a community, park their vehicle somewhere, and they walk within these communities where there's no security presence. You know, these are ways that the police needs to resurrect foot patrol in our local communities. Once in a while, they stroll in, you know, ask questions. What's happening? Sometimes when communities are having town hall meetings or something, all this happens sometimes during festive period, the police can be part of it. Try to let the people know that if you say something, you say something. You know, let there be a communication.
Speaking about that, do Nigerians trust the police enough? Because we still see those policemen who, when you say something, the policeman comes back to say, "Now even your neighbor, now tell us." Yes,
there's this trust deficit that has been there between the police and the members of the public, and that is why I talked about training and retraining.
Right.
You know, motivate them. Some of them, they are not even because they are not trained. They don't even know how to talk. Law enforcement, they should be, at least to a reasonable extent, be confidential in their dealings.
Exactly.
But most of them are not professional. And do you know the problem? Some of them don't even have passion for the job.
It was the need for a job that drove them there. Okori, you've talked about how we can handle internal security. For those who see terrorism and are afraid that maybe it has overwhelmed Nigeria, we need to call in mercenaries, international community. What's your take? Do we have the capacity to indeed fight terrorism in the country?
Yes, we have the capacity. I want to give kudos to the government of President Buhari. I think during his tenure of 8 years, he had two Chief of Army Staff, General Boratai and the immediate past Farouk Yahya. In terms of the fight against terrorism, they have tried. They did their very best. You know why? I'll give you the figures. In 2015, that Buhari came on board as president, we had 5,656 or so terror attacks. Do you know what I mean? No. 646 terror attacks.
Okay.
The numbers that died as a result of terror-related incident, 5,656 or so died in 2015. But last year in 2022 here, the number of terror attacks now reduced from that 646 to 120. Guess how many people died?
How many?
385.
385.
Compared to 5,000.
Okori, we saw stories. Are you sure of this data? Because we saw
I said
in one swoop.
Terror related.
Related. Okay.
No, we're talking about terrorism now.
Right.
Terror related. I'm not talking about banditry or kidnapping all put together. No.
Right.
Terror related.
Right. I would now understand. But thank you
I'm
so
sure of my
much.
data.
I mean, I trust the Stick Mirror Consulting. You must have your data right.
Yeah,
thank you so much for being part of the program. It's always wonderful to talk security with you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we've been discussing with Steve Okori, the MD, Stick Mirror Consulting, Security and Crime Management Consultant. We've been discussing the service chiefs and Nigeria's security outlook. But this is where we draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a great day.